afraid of the dark.
In the world, there are several eerie legends about lighthouses where supposedly inexplicable and frightening events occurred. Naturally, all these legends seem like old tales to attract onlookers, but they were not born for that purpose at all. Just imagine, in the last century, a solitary person sat in one of those lighthouses and every night listened to creaks and rustles. He was surrounded only by the dim light of a kerosene lamp or candle, and the music of the night's restless waves lulled him, inevitably leading him to invent all sorts of things. This lighthouse is built on Seguin Island, off the coast of the state of Maine, a place so beloved by Stephen King. It was established as far back as 1795 by order of George Washington, so over 2 centuries, a lot of different things have happened here, often quite spooky. The most famous legend associated with Seguin Island tells of the keeper and his wife who lived here in the 19th century. The couple brought a piano to the island to alleviate the boredom of the chilly evenings. However, the wife, as it turned out, only knew how to play one melody. She played it over and over, day after day, trying to entertain herself. One day, the lighthouse keeper couldn't take it anymore, and when his wife started playing again, he literally went mad. He took an axe and chopped her right there by the piano. After that, he threw himself off the cliff, and ever since then, people who found themselves on Seguin Lighthouse complain about a recurring melody, which sounds as if from nowhere, yet at the same time, as if from the very depths of the lighthouse. Continuously repeating at the edge of audibility, this quiet melody drives keepers mad, making them jump off the cliff. According to another legend, in 1985, when repairs were being carried out on the lighthouse and the light was turned off, a Coast Guard officer spent the night here. He recounted that at night, a ghostly figure in a raincoat tried to push him off the bed. The figure screamed, "Don't touch my furniture. Get out of here." The next day, the ship transporting furniture from the lighthouse sank. By the way, the lighthouse on Seguin Island was closed quite recently, in 2019. New London is a small port city in Connecticut, located in a restless bay. In 1939, a small lighthouse was built here, and a well-known prankster named Ernie became its keeper. Everyone knew him as a cheerful guy, so when Ernie stopped showing up at the taverns, locals decided to visit him at the lighthouse one night. When the men arrived by boat and went up to Ernie, they saw a pool of blood on the floor, a filleting knife lying there, and a note in which the keeper apologized for having to end his life. In the note, he blamed the voices from the sea for everything, voices that, as if in a delirium, wouldn't let him leave the lighthouse or stay. Suicide became Ernie's only way out. Since the keeper's body was never found, and the bloody traces led to the roof, locals concluded that Ernie first cut his throat and then jumped from the lighthouse roof into the sea. According to legend, Ernie's spirit could never escape from there. Before the lighthouse was fully automated in 1987, 14 keepers had come and gone, 5 of whom couldn't last a single shift in the middle of the night. They called the mainland, demanding to be immediately taken away from this cursed place. The men complained that someone was moving things around on the lighthouse and changing channels on the television. But even after 1987, local fishermen reported several times that the lighthouse's automation behaved strangely, guiding their boats onto shoals in bad weather. Perhaps it was just a technical glitch, but the fishermen are convinced that it was Ernie trying to claim them for himself. One of the most terrifying and tragic legends surrounds the old lighthouse on Bun Island, not far from Main Bay in North America. In the mid-19th century, Kathleen Bright settled here, becoming the wife of the keeper, whose name history, unfortunately, did not preserve. For a while they lived happily, but one day Kathleen's husband fell ill with consumption, and she was forced to care for him day and night. On one of those nights, a terrible storm broke out at sea. The girl rushed to close the heavy doors and drag the boat ashore to prevent it from being dashed against the rocks. But when she returned to her husband, he had already passed away. Overwhelmed with grief, Kathleen climbed up 168 steps and stood behind the beacon, keeping its light for ships for 5 days. On the 6th day, the storm subsided, but so did Kathleen's strength when people on the mainland noticed that the lighthouse was no longer shining. Several people went to Bun Island to help. Kathleen met them on the shore, exhausted, hungry, and devoid of reason. The girl reached out to the men and immediately died. Since then, the spirit of Kathleen Bright has been inseparably linked to the lighthouse on Bun Island. Local fishermen often see a solitary figure in a white dress on the shore, and keepers say that the light in the lighthouse sometimes turns on by itself. Block Island is located 12 miles off the coast of Rhode Island. In 1997, the lighthouse on this island was listed as one of the special historic sites in the United States, with the note one of the best lighthouses built in America in the 19th century. Whether it is true or not, the building inspires awe even if one does not know the legend associated with it. The legend tells of a ship named Princess Augusta. It set sail from the port of Rotterdam in August 1738, carrying 340 immigrants from Germany seeking refuge from religious persecution in American Virginia, where 3,000 of their compatriots had already settled. The captain of the Princess Augusta was George Long, who had navigated his ship through perilous sea routes many times before. But while bad weather was of little concern to Long, the spoiled supplies in the hold were not just a problem but a real disaster. Within a few days of the journey, food poisoning claimed several dozen passengers, including the captain himself. After a week, dysentery raged aboard the Princess Augusta, claiming the lives of almost half the people on board, including George Long. Andrew Brooke, Long's first mate, then took command, ordering the disposal of the dead and the remaining food overboard to prevent the spread of disease. At this time, a strong northwesterly wind began to blow, which accelerated the Princess Augusta, but no one felt joy from it. The wind gusts tore the sails with such force that it seemed the masts might soon be torn from the deck. Nevertheless, the Princess Augusta managed to reach the United States, approaching the shores of Rhode Island in a rather battered condition. Here, the ship encountered another misfortune. Dense fog enveloped the coast, as thick as milk. Brooke ordered the remnants of the battered and hungry crew to signal the shore, but as soon as he said this, the Princess Augusta struck a rock with such force that the stern of the ship shattered into splinters, crushing everyone on board against the rocks. The Southeast Lighthouse on Block Island was built 100 years after the Princess Augusta wrecked, but the keepers say that even now at night, when fog descends on the coast, distant lights of sailors can be seen who have remained wandering between worlds. And when a northwesterly wind blows towards the island, one can hear Andrew Brooke's cry of Hopeland. Point Lookout Lighthouse is one of the legendary places in the state of Maryland. Built in 1830, this lighthouse has always attracted the attention of various mystics and lunatics, but it gained the greatest popularity in 1981 when the famous parapsychologist Dr. Hans Holzer came here with a team of psychics. Using special equipment, Holzer recorded 24 different voices on film, allegedly belonging to former keepers and Confederate soldiers who were held captive here during the Civil War. The voices sang, talked, and even swore obscenities. It is remembered that one of the ghost soldiers told his comrade, "If they come closer, shoot." In addition to the psychic's observations, both them and ordinary onlookers noticed a terrible stench at the lighthouse, which could indicate phantoms of decomposing human bodies, whose souls have not yet found rest. When Holzer left and published his research, Point Lookout Lighthouse became a national landmark, attracting tourists from all over the United States. Write in the comments what legends or stories you know about lighthouses.